The single most fundamental and jarring aspect of the classic Grand Theft Auto experience, the instant, omniscient, and location-agnostic police force, is being systematically dismantled in Grand Theft Auto 6. For decades, the Wounded Star was not just a gameplay mechanic. Device that told the player the rules of engagement had changed from free-roaming sandbox to arcade-style survival onslaught the moment that First Star flashed the game. The open world ceased to be a living city and transformed into a spawning ground for adversary units, programmed with one directive: eliminate the player-shaped blip on their radar. This system, while iconic and responsible for countless moments of over-the-top chaos, operated on a principle of pure game logic that actively broke immersion. You could be standing alone in the vast, silent expanse of the Sonora Desert, fire a single bullet into the air, and within seconds the horizon would ripple with the birth of police cruisers. Materializing from the very heat haze as if teleported by a god of law enforcement who took your transgression personally, this spawning bubble mechanic created a predictable, often frustrating rhythm. Police didn't arrive. They manifested. Their pathfinding was less about pursuit and more about homing in on a coordinate. This led to the infamous helicopter trapped in an alley scenarios and car chases that felt less like escapes and more like navigating a malicious, self-replicating maze. Evasion, therefore, wasn't about outsmarting an opponent. It was about gaming the system's own rules. Breaking the line of sight to collapse the spawning bubble, finding a specific paint shop or pay and spray to trigger a scripted reset, or driving in circles until a timer ran down. The world itself had no memory of your crime. The police were an atmospheric condition, a temporary storm of bullets and bad driving that would vanish as suddenly as it appeared, leaving no trace on the world or its inhabitants. The evidence from GTA 6's development leaks, specifically the UI elements captured in early builds, points to a tectonic shift from this paradigm. The presence of explicit witness and dispatch timer indicators is not a subtle tweak. It is the foundation for an entirely new philosophy of crime and consequence. This new system introduces a critical element that was wholly absent before: time and causality. In the old model, crime and police response were simultaneous. Now they are separated by a chain of events that the player can potentially interrupt. This dispatch timer is the heartbeat of the new system. It represents the precious, tangible gap between your criminal act and the official mobilization of state power. This window is where the real gameplay will flourish. It transforms the immediate aftermath of a robbery, shooting, or theft from a reactive fight for survival into a proactive, strategic puzzle. You are no longer reacting to spawned enemies. You are managing the flow of information in a living world. Your primary adversary in those first seconds isn't the police. It's the witness holding the phone, the security camera pointed at the door, the digital footprint you leave behind. The psychological impact of this change cannot be overstated. Instead of the jarring, immediate switch to combat mode, players will experience a surge of adrenaline-fueled urgency with a clear goal: contain the situation. Do you chase down the fleeing witness and intimidate them into silence? Do you grab the cash and sprint for a pre-stashed vehicle, betting you can outrun the digital 911 call? Do you take the time to destroy the CCTV server, knowing each second brings the sirens closer? This creates meaningful, weighty choices in moments that were previously pure chaos. Furthermore, it logically ties police presence to the game world's geography and population. A crime in a densely populated downtown area at noon will have a near instantaneous dispatch time, dozens of potential witnesses with smartphones. The same crime in a remote swamp or industrial yard at night might offer a longer, more forgiving timer, or might not be reported at all, if you ensure no one escapes. This makes the where and when of criminal activity a tactical consideration, encouraging players to learn the rhythms and vulnerabilities of Vice City's districts. This dismantling of the spawning system also implies a more realistic and gradual escalation of police response. The first officers on the scene won't be a telepathic SWAT team. They will likely be local patrol units responding to a generic disturbance. Their initial behavior might be investigative, setting up a perimeter, interviewing witnesses, rather than immediately lethal. This opens the door for entirely new interactions. Could you talk your way out of a preliminary stop if you haven't been positively ID'd? Could you blend in with a crowd before the net tightens? The dispatch timer is merely the first step in a cascade of realism that replaces magical spawning with a simulated, credible chain of law enforcement response, making the world of Leonida feel like a place that operates on its own logic, not one that bends entirely to the player's actions. The most profound environmental shift in Grand Theft Auto 6 is not in its geography, but in its gaze. Rockstar is architecting Leonida, and specifically Vice City, as a modern panopticon, a space where the potential of being observed is constant, transforming every citizen into a sensor and every street corner into a potential source of damning evidence. This moves the player's conflict from a straightforward battle against a spawning police force to a complex, layered struggle against the very consciousness of the city itself. The witness in GTA 6 is no longer a singular fleeing NPC from Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a multifaceted, networked entity comprising humans, devices, and infrastructure. This creates a crime ecosystem of unprecedented complexity. At the most immediate human level, the NPC of Vice City are equipped with the defining tool of the 21st century, the smartphone. This simple device shatters the slow-burn tension of Red Dead 2's witness system. In the 1890s, a witness had to physically outrun you, find a lawman, and deliver a verbal report, a process that could take minutes and was vulnerable to interception at multiple points. In the 2020s of GTA 6, a witness needs only a moment of obscured vision, a frantic duck behind a car, to tap a screen and connect directly to the Leonida State Police Dispatch. This fundamentally alters the calculus of intimidation or interception. You cannot simply outrun a digital signal. Your goal must shift from stopping the person to stopping the act of communication within a drastically shortened time window, adding a frantic, desperate edge to post-crime moments. However, the human witness is merely the most obvious node in the network. The true evolution lies in the digital witness layer, the omnipresent closed-circuit television system. The debug footage showing security cameras with rendered cones of vision is a critical revelation. It indicates these are not passive set dressing, but active, gameplay-relevant objects with simulated lines of sight, much like the tools in Hitman or Cyberpunk 2077. This introduces a spatial puzzle element to urban crime. You must now read an environment not just for cover from bullets, but for cover from lenses. The blind spot behind a dumpster, the angle of a camera mounted on a bank awning, the timing of a rotating surveillance feed, these become as vital to mission planning as ammunition count. This CCTV system logically extends the memory of the city far beyond human recall. A human witness might describe a green sedan. A CCTV camera records the exact license plate, the specific model, and the unique bumper sticker. It creates forensic, indisputable evidence. This suggests potential gameplay mechanics where successful, clean crime isn't just about escaping the scene, but about sanitizing the digital record. Heists may involve hacking a building security server to loop footage before entry. A quick robbery might require you to locate and shoot the camera's hard drive or receiver after the fact, adding a dangerous post-objective step. Failure to do so could mean the police are not just looking for a car, but hunting your specific car, permanently tying that vehicle to the crime and making it unusable for future operations unless modified or destroyed. The integration of the game's heavily hinted social media theme acts as a terrifying multiplier on this witness network. In the first trailer, we see citizens recording police chases and beach brawls on their phones. It is a small leap to assume that committing a high-profile crime in a public space could trigger not just a police dispatch, but a viral Live PD-style broadcast. Your escape route could be streamed to thousands of in-game players, with their comments potentially even appearing as a chaotic scroll on the screen, offering real-time crowdsourced tracking. Worse, these videos could persist online, creating a permanent, searchable record of your character's appearance, favored tactics, or vehicle, allowing other players in an online setting, or perhaps even advanced in-game AI, to recognize and track you later. The witness becomes the crowd, and the crowd is always online. This layered witness system, human, digital, and social, creates a profound psychological pressure. It makes paranoia a rational state. That NPC glancing at their phone isn't just an idle animation, it's a potential threat. That blinking red light on a building isn't just atmosphere, it's an eye. The city ceases to be a playground and becomes an adversary with a near-perfect memory. Your freedom of movement is no longer constrained just by walls, but by sidelines and network coverage. It forces a shift from reactive, explosive gameplay to meticulous, paranoid planning. To succeed, you must learn to see the world as the system sees it, a grid of vulnerabilities, sightlines, and data points. In Grand Theft Auto 6, you are not just fighting the police. You are fighting against the very idea of privacy in a connected world where every action risks being observed, recorded, and broadcasted, making a true clean getaway the highest, most satisfying form of mastery. In previous Grand Theft Auto titles, law enforcement served a primary, almost ritualistic function to provide a scalable, escalating combat challenge that tested the player's arsenal and driving stamina. They were a force of attrition, endless waves of cannon fodder arriving in progressively more durable vehicles and heavier armor, whose primary tactical nuance was more. Their behavior was governed by rudimentary, often comically flawed routines. Cars ramming each other in a single-file pursuit, helicopters crashing into bridges, officers leaping to their deaths in a fervent but idiotic attempt to apprehend you. They were obstacles to be mowed down, a chaotic environmental hazard like a tornado made of blue uniforms and bad decisions. In Grand Theft Auto 6, Rockstar is poised to completely reinvent this dynamic, transforming the police from a predictable gameplay throttle into an intelligent, adaptive, and truly formidable opposing force. This shift, suggested by patents and the logical evolution of their game design, will change the player's relationship with authority from one of dismissive antagonism to one of genuine fear and strategic respect. The cornerstone of this evolution is the move away from aggregate AI to unit-based or swarm intelligence. The infamous Rockstar patent for a system and method for virtual navigation in a gaming environment is less about creating super genius individual cops and more about enabling sophisticated group coordination. In GTA V, each police cruiser was an isolated hunter, homing in on your GPS signal with little regard for its fellow officers. The result was the chaotic pileups and self-defeating maneuvers that became meme-worthy hallmarks. The new system implies a hierarchical command structure. When a chase is initiated, AI officers are no longer just spawned. They are deployed from real precinct locations, which we see in the first trailer, and their actions are coordinated. Imagine this new paradigm in action. Instead of 5 cruisers all trying to ram your rear bumper on a highway, the AI might execute a coordinated pincer movement. 1 or 2 units maintain pursuit to pressure and herd you, while radio commands dispatch other units, calculated not by random spawns, but by actual map geometry to set up rolling roadblocks 2 intersections ahead or 2 block key freeway on-ramps. The player's minimap would no longer show a swirling mass of red dots, but a spreading, intelligent net. This forces you to think like a fugitive, not a tank commander. Outrunning the car behind you is no longer enough. You must anticipate where the road ends, strategically. The open world becomes a chessboard, and your escape route must account for pawns being moved to cut you off. This intelligence extends to tactical adaptation. In older games, police behavior was binary. Chase or don't chase. GTA 6's AI, likely built upon the foundations of Red Dead Redemption 2's enemy scripting, promises graduated, context-sensitive responses. A low-level suspicion or investigation phase before a full wanted level is triggered could see an officer cautiously approach on foot, hand on their sidearm, demanding to see your ID or asking you to step out of the vehicle. This isn't just a cutscene. It's a live gameplay state with multiple branching outcomes. Do you comply and try to talk your way out? Do you floor it, initiating the chase from a standstill? Do you subtly reach for a weapon in the glove box, risking an instant, violent escalation? Once a full-blown confrontation begins, the AI's lethality and self-preservation will be radically enhanced. The days of officers standing in the open, unloading infinite pistol clips are over. We'll see police using real-world tactics, taking cover behind their car doors, which we might be able to shoot through, providing suppressive fire while flanking units advance, using ballistic shields in SWAT scenarios, and coordinating the deployment of non-lethal or less lethal options like tear gas before a full assault. A patent referencing virtual navigation could even enable complex building clearing routines for interiors, meaning hiding in a house or mall is no longer an invulnerable pause button. It becomes a deadly game of cat and mouse across multiple rooms and floors. Perhaps most importantly, this smarter AI makes the police a persistent narrative threat, not just a transient gameplay state. Their memory and investigative skills mean they learn from. If you consistently use stolen motorcycles to escape through alleys, they may station more units on perimeter patrol and motorcycle-accessible zones. If you favor sniper rifles for assassination missions, subsequent responses in that district might include counter-sniper teams or faster helicopter deployment. The police force becomes a dynamic, learning opponent. Their past successes become the blueprint for their future counter-strategies. This elevation of police from obstacle to adversary fundamentally redefines the player's goal. Victory is no longer measured by how many cops you killed before dying or finding a spray shop. Victory is a clean escape. The sheer competence of the opposition makes direct, protracted conflict a losing proposition, a resource-draining last resort. The thrill shifts from the power fantasy of dominating a feeble system to the intellectual and reflexive satisfaction of outsmarting a worthy one. In Grand Theft Auto 6, the police are no longer the punchline to a joke about public safety. They are the sobering, dangerous consequence of a life of crime, forcing you to be smarter, faster, and more cunning than you have ever had to be before. They are no longer the storm you weather. They are the hunters you must elude. For the entirety of the 3D Grand Theft Auto era, the player character has operated as a kind of criminal demigod. This was not just a function of plot armor or superhuman resilience, but was mechanically enshrined in a fundamental game system, the infinite interdimensional pocket inventory. From the pockets of CJ baggy jeans to the confines of Franklin's hoodie, a player could, at a moment's notice, produce an arsenal that would make a small militia blush. This design philosophy enabled the series' signature brand of spontaneous, escalating chaos. A simple fender bender could, within 30 seconds, transform into a sprawling firefight featuring assault rifles, grenades, and a rocket launcher summoned from the ether. While undeniably fun in its anarchic way, this system inherently minimized consequence and nullified the concept of preparation. You were always ready for war, which meant crime carried no logistical forethought. Grand Theft Auto 6, by adopting and adapting the limited inventory philosophy pioneered in Red Dead Redemption 2, is executing a deliberate, ground-up retooling of this identity. It is shifting the player's role from an omnipotent chaos agent to a vulnerable, planning-dependent professional. This is not a minor balance tweak. It is a philosophical recalibration that makes the process of crime as important as the act itself. The leaks suggesting a weapon carry limit, potentially 2 primaries, a sidearm, and a throwable, are the first and most personal pillar of this change. This limitation is a narrative and gameplay constraint that speaks volumes. You are no longer a one-person army. You are a person with physical limits. Every weapon you carry must be chosen, not just owned. A heist that might involve close-quarters combat and a silent getaway would demand a shotgun or SMG for power and a pistol for backup. But choosing that loadout means forfeiting the long-range security of a sniper rifle. Are you planning to breach a door? You'll need to dedicate your throwable slot to explosives, leaving you without a flashbang or smoke grenade for crowd control. This transforms weapon selection from a menu screen chore into a meaningful mission-critical decision with tangible risk-reward trade-offs. It reintroduces the potent feeling of vulnerability. Walking into a tense situation, you are acutely aware of what you don't have on you. This limitation finds its logical and physical extension in the duffel bag and the vehicle trunk, which evolved from cosmetic props into essential gameplay tools. The duffel bag, glimpsed in leaks and trailers, is no longer just an animation for carrying cash. It is your mobile logistics hub. Its finite capacity creates compelling dilemmas. Do you fill it with extra ammunition, granting you staying power in a prolonged shootout? Or do you reserve every inch of space for loot, prioritizing the score over security? During a robbery gone wrong, you might be forced to choose between dumping a bag full of cash to run faster or holding on to it and risking capture. The vehicle trunk becomes your mobile armory and strategic reserve. You cannot pull a rifle from your back during a traffic stop if that rifle is stashed in the trunk of a car 3 blocks away. This creates a beautiful, tense spatial relationship between you and your tool. Your power is no longer intrinsic. It is geographically distributed. You must think in terms of safe houses, stashed getaway cars with preloaded trunks, and planned fallback points where extra gear is cached. This logistical framework forces crime to become deliberate and phased. A significant score can no longer be an impulsive as see a bank rob a bank decision. It must be a project. The preparation phase becomes a legitimate, engaging segment of gameplay. You might need to acquire the gear. This could mean purchasing weapons from a back alley dealer, stealing specific vehicle models known for large trunks, or crafting improvised tools. Stage the equipment, driving your loadout car to a discreet location near the target and transferring key items to a faster, cleaner, getaway car parked on a pre-scouted route. Plan the exfiltration, identifying not just one, but multiple escape routes that account for your chosen vehicle's handling, the locations of potential police roadblocks based on the new AI, and safe zones where you can swap vehicles or ditch your identifiable clothes. The inventory system directly synergizes with the rumored description-based wanted system. If you commit a crime with a specific rare weapon, that weapon's description becomes part of your fugitive profile. This makes your loadout a potential forensic liability. A smart criminal might use cheap, disposable burner guns for messy jobs, preserving their unique, high-end weaponry for deniable operations. Every item you bring to a crime scene is now evidence that can be remembered and hunted. Ultimately, this shift from omnipotence to preparation fundamentally alters the emotional reward structure of the game. The dopamine hit no longer comes primarily from the moment you grab the cash or blow up the rival's car. It is diffused across the entire process. The satisfaction of a perfectly executed plan, the quiet tension of staging your equipment, the pride in anticipating a problem before it happens, and the profound relief of a clean escape made possible by your own forethought. Failure, when it comes, will not feel like the game cheating with spawn tanks, but like the direct logical consequence of your own poor planning or overlooked detail. In Grand Theft Auto 6, success is not gifted by your character's magical pockets. It is earned through your intelligence, foresight, and professional discipline. You are no longer a force of nature. You are a craftsman, and crime is your trade, requiring the right tools placed in the right place at the right time. The ultimate distillation of the Grand Theft Auto 6 revolution is not found in any single feature, but in the overarching player objective it mandates. For generations, the final, messy act of any criminal encounter in a Rockstar open world was almost universally erasure. The goal was to eliminate the pursuing threat until the system's timer ran dry or you reached a reset zone. Your success metric was body count and durability. You weren't outsmarting the police, you were outgunning or outlasting them, reducing their numbers until the game conceded. The chase was a war of attrition fought on the move where the environment was merely a backdrop for a rolling battlefield. GTA 6 is systematically dismantling this core loop and replacing it with a new, far more tense and intellectually demanding paradigm. the art of the clean escape. This reframes the entire player mentality from that of an unstoppable juggernaut to that of a ghost, a perpetrator who must vanish, not con. This shift is the culmination of all other systemic changes and represents the most profound evolution in how players will interact with and feel within the game world. This new philosophy is engineered through the introduction of a distinct investigation phase, a gameplay state that is expected to sit between the initial crime and a full-scale, high-speed pursuit. Evidence from the trailer, the SWAT team tactically advancing, the police cordons suggest that when law enforcement is alerted to a major crime, their first response will not be to pinpoint and chase the player's exact GPS coordinate. Instead, they will establish a dynamic search perimeter around the last known location. Suddenly, you are not a beacon on their map. You are a suspect somewhere within a designated and likely expanding zone. This transforms the gameplay from a linear sprint into a spatial puzzle of stealth and misdirection. Your immediate goal is no longer to drive faster than the car behind you, but to navigate out of the net without triggering its alarms. This creates a spectrum of evasion tactics that were previously irrelevant. Ghosting becomes a viable, high-skill strategy, killing your engine in a shadowed alley, crouching behind dumpsters as flashlight beams sweep past, watching the silhouettes of officers methodically clearing the area from your hiding spot. The tension is no longer in the speed of your car, but in the stillness of your character and the proximity of your observers. Environmental manipulation becomes key. You might slip into an apartment building interior, leveraging the promised increase in enterable spaces, change your outfit in a bathroom, and exit from a rear fire escape, emerging as a different person within the same lockdown block. The game world's density becomes a tool for obfuscation, not just scenery. When a chase does escalate to the vehicular level, the objective is fundamentally redefined. It is no longer a test of firepower or vehicular HP. It becomes a test of geographic knowledge and tactical driving. The goal is to break the pursuit's visual and electronic lock, not destroy every pursuer. This means exploiting the city's verticality, ducking into multi-story parking garages to lose helicopters, using underpasses and tunnels to break line of sight long enough to make a sharp, unexpected turn onto a new route. The much speculated about ability to change vehicle plates or swap cars becomes a critical mid-chase tactic, not just a cosmetic whim. Ditching a hot car in a crowded mall parking lot, walking calmly to a pre-sashed motorcycle, and riding out the opposite exit as the police swarm your abandoned sedan is the epitome of this new escape fantasy. This focus on escape over erasure is narratively and mechanically reinforced by making direct combat with police a last resort with severe escalating consequences. The smarter, more lethal police AI means a sustained firefight is a quick path to a reloaded save. More importantly, the memory and forensic systems ensure that every cop car destroyed, every officer killed, adds irrevocable evidence and heat to your profile. You might erase the immediate wave, but you have permanently etched a more violent, higher priority version of yourself into the city's database. The game will actively punish the old rampage playstyle, not by making it impossible, but by making it catastrophically, progression haltingly costly. The optimal path is always the silent, unseen one. Ultimately, this transforms the player's emotional journey from a cycle of aggression and catharsis to one of tension, release, and prideful subterfuge. The peak thrill is no longer the explosive climax of a 5-star battle, but the heart-pounding silence of successfully hiding in plain sight, the slow exhale as police sirens fade into the distance, and the deep satisfaction of knowing you beat the system not through superior firepower, but through superior cunning. You are not a bull in a china shop. You are a needle in a haystack, and your victory is in never being. Grand Theft Auto 6 is poised to replace the power fantasy of domination with the more nuanced and arguably more rewarding fantasy of the flawless escape artist, where the greatest testament to your skill is the absence of a trail.